Yo, man.
Yo,
We back.
again,
We bite.
bite.
South GA. What up, though? What up, though? So we back, man. Good Hennessy show, man. We got I low key want to say, like, you know, if you heard a record anywhere between 2002 2002 to 2015.
Yeah. Until actually 2016.
2016.
I just stopped.
If you heard a record and you love that record and you was like, man, I keep hearing that record, it's his fault.
That's me. I'm the
His
one
fault.
to blame. Blame me.
If you love everything it is about Young Jeezy and the presence that Young Jeezy has put upon the people, it's his fault.
Whoa.
I've done a lot. Even more than Young Jeezy.
If you know some new restaurants around the city,
Whoa.
That's probably me too.
it's his fault.
I did that.
It's a whole bunch of things that his fault that that he probably gonna let us know. But without further ado, Nick
Talk to
Love,
me.
ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Hello. How y'all
Hey, let's
doing
clap
out
it up,
there?
let's clap it up, let's clap it up.
Hey,
yeah.
applause. All right.
Yeah, we go.
Let's do it. Let's
That's
do it.
solid. I love it.
So I'm gonna start this interview off by saying it pays to be an Atlanta Braves fan.
I think so.
I'm gonna show y'all this story real quick because I am a Braves fan, die-hard Braves fan, and I'm hurting right now.
Oh, you want to tell them about how we met?
Yeah. It pays to be a Braves fan. So I'm at the Braves game. Me and my homeboy Ace, we there with our wives, man.
Shout
at
out
the
to
game.
Ace.
And Ace was like, man, yo, like I think it was on the we ain't gonna put that out there. We go. I was like, yo, that look like Nick Love, right?
Hey, no, we can put it out there. Listen, I got caught on the kiss cam
Oh.
at the Braves game, right? So the funny thing about it is the young lady I was with was somebody I really like. This my people, but we wasn't really supposed to be together. I mean, nothing crazy. It just relationship. Our relationship changed. But anyway, but I wasn't doing nothing wrong, and she wasn't either. Just so we clear on that.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it is when they put us on the kiss cam, the first thing I said is, I bet you I'm going to get a text from somebody that say, yo, I'm at the game. I saw you on the kiss cam. And she was like, ain't nobody going to see you. And I'm like, nah, I run into somebody I know every time I'm out. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, my man Ace say, yo, where you at? I just saw you on the kiss cam. I was like, oh, my God. Okay. Come on down, man.
Yeah. So we had the game and we had some decent seats where we were at. We was terrace level, but let's just gonna say his seats was a little bit better. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it like that. Seats was a little bit better. So we went down there and talking to him and him and Ace was catching up. And Ace told him, was like, yo, man, you should definitely check out the show that we do here, a Good Hennessy show. And I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. And told him about the show, and, it was like, cool, let's do it, right? So at that time, I've been knowing about you for a while. Like, I used to be at Artist Factory a lot back with
Rock City,
Rock City, Verse, all that. I
Mm-hmm.
was the fly on the wall in the studio, so I always knew, who you were.
Right.
Just kind of just soaking up game and all of that. But you here now.
I'm here.
So,
I'm here.
I feel it's only right, man. You kind of get a chance to tell your story. Like you say, we went down the long list of things that you've done, but I guess I want to really start with the DJing and what you did on that side, because you were heavily involved with me personally. I think changing the way Atlanta was looked at from a music standpoint.
Right.
So kind of walk us through that, man. Tell us that chapter of your life, what that was about.
Okay. I don't know. I lost the volume in the headphones, so I don't know if that matters or
You
not.
good.
But hopefully everybody can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But man, honestly, my story is interesting from an Atlanta standpoint because I'm born and raised here. First of all, I grew up in Decatur. I'm from the East Side, and when I wanted to get into the music business, I wanted to be an artist initially. I wanted to be Nate Dogg. Really, that was my hero. I was like, man, you can sing and curse. It don't get no better than that. I thought this guy is amazing.
Yeah.
And so I started out doing the artist thing, and we ran into a guy by the name of Jason McPhee. I always tell this story because I just want to shout out my mentors and people who helped me get to where I am. He, when we were done with the music, he was like, all right, cool. Well, like, how y'all gonna get it out? And we just looked around the room. This was me and my partners. We was like, I don't know. We thought we just make music and it just magically shows up on the radio and we just get famous. Like, that's what we thought the play was. He was like, no, somebody got to do some leg work. So he started handing out roles, and he was like, all right, he said, you do this, you do that. He got to me. He said, you do marketing. I didn't know what that was. He was like, well, you pretty personable. You go talk to the DJs, you go hand the music out and build the relationships, and then you help the crew. I'm like, all right, bet. When I started doing it, first couple times I made a couple dollars. I was passing out posters for other people. I started kind of doing my own thing, but then people saw me and was like, hey, well, can you pass out posters? And I was like, all right, cool, give me a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it took off from. So I never looked back. After that, I was like, I can make money doing this. I wasn't making no money as an artist. So I'm like, I'm doing this. And so fast forward, I'm working for Ludacris and DTP. I'm working for DJ Toomp. I'm working for Dallas Austin doing the Backwoods Project. And then I run into Kinky B at a job, or like a full-time job that I had at the time. Kinky B was, Jeezy's partner. And Jeezy was an underground, kind of a newer artist at the time. He wasn't who he is.
Yeah.
And I always like to tell this part of the story because people forget. Like when I tell people like, yeah, I work with Young Jeezy, or I used to work with Young Jeezy, people look at him like he's always been
No, it wasn't like that.
A superstar. Like when I met him, he wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? He's just a street guy. And I like to remind people like, yo, somebody had to like take him from independent artist that don't nobody know to where he is now, and it took a team of people, and I was part of that team. And this was like 2002, when we first got started. And, this was like pre the first album dropping. This is like Trap or Die, Streets is Watching days, with the mixtape game. And then from there, that's how I met a lot of the DJs, who I end up, fast forward, I end up managing the Coalition DJs. These guys were the guys that I broke Jeezy through. This was DJ Funky and X-Rated and Nando, rest in peace, and Big X. These were the guys who were the first ones to take the Jeezy records and turn them up. And I saw that even as I was working with Jeezy, and I'm like, yo, this is an amazing pipeline. If you can get these strip club DJs on board with your record, you can really become a star. And so when I left Jeezy back in 2009, I was like, I'm gonna get with those guys. And just start running other artists through that same platform, and then here we are.
So, in that story, because I tell this story too, like I'm from Macon, and like
wow.
I knew.
So Top Guns.
I
mean, not Top Guns, Young Guns Entertainment. Young Guns Entertainment before they were CTE.
There you go. There you go. I knew all of that, and when they were in the city riding the Suburban with the logo, the two guns on the back, like I knew. I went to school with a couple of guys like Goldmouth and Kid. I went to school with them, but and Kojak, but. I saw that, you know what I'm saying? So I still got a record that Jeezy probably don't want nobody to hear. We were in the studio like
it's a few of those.
Yeah, playing around, but I want to kind of fast forward in that story where you were when you kind of told the story about like, okay, this wasn't working. This works.
Right.
Let me do this. You know what I mean? Was it that the music wasn't necessarily a passion for you, or was it just simple like?
Man, music was, even to this day, I guess not artistically, not as an artist, but music has always been a passion of mine. Like I was the kid, and my mom will tell you this, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I remember being in kindergarten, first grade. I remember this vividly. And the teacher would go around the room and say, yo, like, what do you want to do when you go, when you get older? And everybody would be like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a fireman. You know what my answer was? My answer was, I want to be Michael Jackson. And I thought that was like a legit answer. You know, as a kid, you like, why can't I be Michael Jackson? And even as I got older, I started to sing in school, and I started to rap and do all this stuff. So I was the kid in high school that was literally like, they would send me around to do the singing telegrams on Valentine's Day for the girls. I was singing in the little plays, talent shows. I've always had this thing about music, and it was a very real thing for me. Like, yo, I'm gonna make it. I don't know how I'm gonna make it, but I'm gonna be famous because that's what I do. And so even as I got into the music business, it wasn't a shocker to nobody. Everybody who knew me from the time I was little was like,
oh, it was a matter of time.
Yeah, he's in the music business. That makes complete sense. And but no, it was always been a passion for me. But when I made the pivot, it was one of those things where, one, I had a daughter on the way. My oldest daughter, Kaya, she's 13 now. But at the time, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she was pregnant, and I'm like, okay, I got to make some money. And like being a rapper and being a singer wasn't making no money. And one thing about me, as passionate as I was never down for the whole starving artist thing. I was like, nah, like it's cats on TV getting money. Why we not getting money? Like I just never understood like
going through that.
Like I mean, I understood grinding and hustling until you get to where you want to go, but I just never understood the whole. Well, I'm not gonna have no money, and I'm gonna sleep on people's couches, and I'm gonna just do that ultimate sacrifice. I was like, no, I'm gonna have a job and make myself some money, and I'm gonna do this music thing, and then that's what it'll be. And really, it just became a matter of like, I got a child on the way. I'm gonna go chase the bread because I gotta provide. And even to this day, man, at 35 years old, when I see artists that's like got kids and they got responsibilities, and they like, nah, man, I'm trying to get this rap thing going. I'm like, your child can't eat that. You know what I'm saying? So that was my mentality the entire time. Like, my child can't eat. Daddy want to be a rapper. Daddy want to be a singer. Daddy want to do this, that, and third. Like, my child gotta, they can't eat Raisin Bran for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I could by myself. But I can't put them through that. So I got to go make some money. And that was just, the pivot was reality. Real life hit. And I was like, all right, we got to switch up.
Yeah, man. I
hope that wasn't too long of an answer.
No.
I'm trying to be as vivid and descriptive as I can,
No, we for it. We all here for it. I want to really get into the Jeezy thing though, and just ask like specifically if there was anything that you can kind of pull stories wise, like what you did on the marketing side, that's something that we may recognize.
Oh man, well the stuff that I did, I think everybody will recognize. When you saw the Trap or Die posters up everywhere, like when Trap or Die dropped. And this was right around the time of the whole Diddy Vote or Die campaign. So when we came with the Trap or Die posters and Real Street Promotions, shout out to my man Real, who's also one of my biggest mentors. Real and the team that I had on staff there, like, we murdered the streets.
I remember.
So if you were in Atlanta around that time, you would drive down the street. And you can't do this anymore. They'll lock you up immediately for this. But we used to tear up like the stop signs, the power poles, everything, and you'd see Trap or Die posters 5-6 high for a quarter mile down the street. If we had an event, like let's just say we were at let's say we was here at the studio, you would see posters going
all down Peter Street,
all down Walker Street, and you'd be like, man, I don't know where he at. He's somewhere in the area because like we tore the streets up. We were really the reason that they changed the laws here in Atlanta, because at a point it was really littering. Like we were blocking up stop signs and street signs and MARTA bus signs with posters. And then when the event was over, we didn't go back and get them. So those things either got rained on or they fell down. So you just had a billion posters in the streets, and they were like, "Yeah, y'all got to stop this."
Man, I remember like, cause I went to Georgia State right from 2000 to 2006. I was right there for like all of that.
Right.
I'll never forget seeing the Trap or Die sign. I was like, man, this is the most ignorant thing I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Trap or Die. I was like,
and the Snowman.
Yeah, I was like, I don't have other options, bro. Like, I can either trap or die.
That's it.
And I didn't connect. I didn't know, Young Jeezy at the time. I mean, I knew Lil J. That's what I always knew. So I didn't know. I didn't connect the two. And I was like, man, who is this dude talking about trap or die, bro?
Right.
Like,
these are your options, right?
Yeah, and they were everywhere. And, Vision was popping at that time. And I remember seeing, like, Jeezy and the whole crew just pull up and everything they had and just
and it was official.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you the cool thing about those days as we were promoting, because I grew up on the east side of town, and I mean I came up rough. I wasn't into the dope thing. That was another thing. It's funny. I tell this story a lot too. Like I tried to sell weed, right? And I was a very mediocre drug dealer. Like, and I remember, cause I don't smoke, so I would get in and be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get this off. And then I remember thinking like, yo, this is way harder than it looks. When you see people like, yo, I'm out here selling weed, you're like, okay, cool. You see cats at you see cats 5 points.
Yeah.
You see them at the gas station like, yo, you smoke, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, that's all y'all do. Okay, I can do that. But then when I started really adding up the time and the money, the money that I made and the time that I put in, I was like,
minimum is less.
Yo, I could have went to work.
Yeah.
I could have got a job and did this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just an average drug dealer. That's just not what I'm good at. But I realized very early on and very quickly that I'm great at marketing. Like I knew that like the back of my hand. So when we were doing Trap or Die, the Snowman, we put out TM101, like those things, made a lot of sense to me, and I connected with it. I connected with the music because I was a fan as well. But more than anything, I was just like, yo, like, people take the Trap or Die thing kind of literal, like, yo, you got to trap, like really literally sell drugs. But it's like, nah, man, you gotta work or you gonna starve.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't grind, like, you're not gonna shine. And that's just the nature of life. And if you don't understand that, man, ain't nothing I can really tell you. And I think that message is why college kids, barbers, strippers, anybody who was just kind of just getting it in, even from the 9 to 5 standpoint, I think they just if you put the work in, you'll get the results. And that's really what Trap or Die really stood for, and it just connected.
those tactics that y'all use back.
Oh, see, there you go, trapgood.com. There you
go. Yeah, that's right. Plug.
Yeah,
plug.
Trapgood.com.
Mm-hmm. Which I was exercising back then. Would that work today?
Okay, this is what I'll say. The methods that I think the street team promotion stuff would work tremendously today. Unfortunately, like I said, you'll get locked up if you put up a bunch of posters and stuff right now, because the city ordinances won't allow you to do that. Like they used to, when they first started cracking down on it, they used to give us a ticket. Okay. They would say, we're going to fine you X amount of dollars per sign. But I mean, it's like thousands of signs like that. So the fine could get ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then it was like, okay, that ain't deterring y'all, because all you got to do is just kind of keep passing the buck. So I'm gonna give y'all I'm sure there's not a statute of limitations on this. I'm sure I can beat this. But anyway, what we used to do is this. So they catch us and say, hey, we found all these Jeezy posters, and they come to the office, and we like, we don't do that. Def Jam did that. And then they go to Def Jam, try to send Def Jam to take it. Def Jam say, that ain't our thing. That's the promotional company that we hire in Atlanta. We didn't tell them to do that. So we just kind of keep passing the buck. So there was no one to pay the fine. So then they finally was like, no, we're just gonna start locking y'all up.
Okay. Yeah.
And that nipped it in the bud real quick. Nobody wanted to go to jail for posters.
Right.
But I think that would work now because no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
I think everything is so online and so on Instagram, and you know what I'm saying? Nobody really want to do the grunt work, the leg work. So like right now, if you were on the street and you saw some posters, you'd immediately notice, because it's like, yo, I haven't seen that in forever. Even like I'll say this, even up until maybe a few years ago, I think billboards, wrapped vans, those things started to become so normal that nobody cared no more. So if you had a wrapped van, it was like, so does everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Same thing with the posters. Same thing with putting flyers on the car when you come out the club. You got 10 flyers on your window. Like, those things don't even. If y'all notice, those things don't happen no more.
Yeah, they don't happen as much.
Matter of fact, people don't even print out flyers no more, because they rather just get somebody to design it, put it on Instagram, and that's the new play. You haven't seen a physical flyer in who knows when. But at the same time, like, those things would work now, because you'd stand out. So I think those things could work. But I think ultimately, like, hip hop is a guerrilla game anyway. So you kind of want to employ those guerrilla marketing tactics to to get your stuff off anyway. And I think there's ways to do it online. I think people are kind of taking advantage of it, by being more and more clever, using Vine and using, Snapchat. Like, this stuff works. I think it could work.
So, like, we got people viewing here, and De Niro Jones.
De Niro, that's my guy. He was one of my guys. Hey, he was part of the team back then.
Yo, so he was like, yo, Nick, remember when I got arrested in Miami?
Listen. This is, first of all, that's my man. Like, to this day, I haven't seen him physically in a while, but man, that's somebody I really got a lot of love for, and I really, really rock with him, because he's just been a genuine guy since I've known him. Like, he's been the same guy that I met, back 2004 or 5, whenever we met. Like, he's been the same guy. So I really applaud him for just being a stand-up dude. But yeah, we was down in Miami at South Beach, and we were putting up posters. I remember this like it happened yesterday. It was a car show down at the convention center in Miami, and he got locked up, and we had to go get him. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, yo, not getting locked up was the problem. Is a problem anyway. But when you get locked up out of town, it's a whole nother thing.
It's a different thing, yeah.
And it's a whole nother process to go get somebody out and the whole nine. So yeah, I remember that vividly, man. Like, that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And then, like, keep in mind, like, at the time that he got locked up, he was still an intern. So to have somebody who's working for free get locked up for passing out some stuff, like, that's like, yo, like, y'all, I know y'all coming to get me, right?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I'm not sitting here.
Yeah.
I don't get paid to sit here. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he was a soldier, man. He was a real trooper, man, and I salute him for that. But yeah, I remember them days vividly.
Yeah, man, definitely. De Niro, the homie, man.
Yeah.
Definitely the homie. So let's, we talked about Jeezy, man, and everything going on, but Coalition DJs, man, and
I just saw the guys a minute ago. I just stopped by there.
For the people that don't know, like, if you heard a record in any strip club, it came through this guy right here and the Coalition DJs team.
I'll take the blame for that one. I'll take the good and bad that come with that.
So explain that, man, because, like, there's this stigma, especially, and you hear people talk about it all the time with the DJs, like, how do you get your record on? Like, we got to go through the DJs. You know what I'm saying? So navigate that for us for a second, man, and kind of give us the play on how did that system work and how it worked so well for y'all.
So there's a hierarchy here in Atlanta as far as getting your records broke. And it's kind of, I guess, it's like, how Meek Mill say, it's levels. And one of the great things about being, the manager of Coalition DJs was that we were level 1, which we took great pride in because we were initially the first stop, the first round of gatekeepers that you would have to go to get your record broken. Mainly because the strip club doesn't have any of the politics that you find at radio and maybe even some of the more mainstream clubs. So when I don't know, you guys' background as far as, breaking records or trying to break records or be artists or whatnot. But if you've ever tried to get a record played at the Compound or the Velvet Room when it was open, or, some of the biggest spots that AG owns, like, it's next to impossible.
Yeah.
They don't break records there. That's their game plan is to sell sections, sell bottles, put as many people in the club as they can, hold up the line so they can hit you for the VIP ticket. And, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
The strip club is way different. The strip club is a nice ecosystem where everybody feeds the next man. So the people come in, they pay at the little door, pay the little $5, $10, $20 to get in the door, but then they tip. The girls tip out the DJ, they tip out the security, they tip out the bar. The bar. Everybody's tipping each other out. So it's in everybody's best interest for the club to make money, because if it's slow, nobody make no money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very few salaried employees at a strip club. Right. Everybody in there is working off of tips. It's the greatest business in the world to own because you ain't got to pay nobody. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're the owner of a strip club, you pay maybe your manager, security, or police officer you might have, and that's really about it. That's your payroll. Right. The girls are paying to work there. The girls come in and drop $20, $30 to dance with the anticipation that they're going to make it back. Yeah. But then as they make it back, they tip out the DJ. And they, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, this a cool little system they got worked out. So we were level 1, right? So artists come to us, they like, yo, if I can get my record going with y'all, then I can take the record to DJ Drama, because if it's hot enough, Drama will put it on his tape, or Scream will put it on his tape. So I'll do the Hood Rich thing. I'll do the affiliates at the time. Now they're the academy. But and then you just kind of you kind of work your way up the ladder until you got to what was the ultimate goal at that time, was radio. And that's changed a lot, and recently, like, now you don't have to really have that radio hit to get, to get your shit off. Like I'm looking at cats like Lil Uzi Vert, 21 Savage, a lot of these kids, they don't have a song on the radio.
No, they're not radio.
And don't care to have one. Like, it'd be nice.
Yeah, but that's just an added bonus for them at this point.
At this point, they like, yo, I'm doing shows, I'm getting money, like, I'm traveling, like,
I'm good.
What is the urgency for me to make this smash commercial mainstream record? Is nothing. But Coalition DJ, like I said, we were step number 1. So you come to us to get your record going, and with the hopes that as we get the record going, it starts to react, and we start the domino fall for everybody else to get onto your records, man. So we took great pride in being like, okay, cool, this is the record that we're gonna take up through there. And I mean, we saw everybody. We seen everybody first before anybody else did. Migos, Rich Homie Quan, Young Thug, of course the G's and stuff. Rocco, when Rocco first came out. Shawty Low, when Shawty Low first got going. And this, I mean, Cash Out. We broke the Cash Out record. 2 Chainz. Like, we did some of everybody. Everybody. If you was a street artist and you were from Atlanta, we touched the record first before anybody touched it.
So you had these meetings.
New Music Monday,
yep. Right? So kind of walk us through. What was that? Because I've heard the stories. You know what I'm saying? I've heard the stories of how it was. Like, it's like really like a round table. Like,
it's a round table feedback session. New Music Monday was something that we created really as a filter. It was meant to be basically a 2-hour meeting where an artist could come in, play his records for the guys, get feedback, and then we kind of start the process from there. The reason that we started it was for 2 reasons. One, if you're an artist and you've ever tried to get feedback from a DJ at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning inside of a DJ booth in a strip club, it's almost impossible to get it. Even if it's good feedback. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's solid feedback, the best you're going to get on a busy night is, all right, cool. That's not real feedback. Because like I know, how many times have somebody played a record for you or giving you a T-shirt or something, and you was like, oh yeah, it's cool, and it was trash, and you was like, yeah, all right, you just kind of nod your head and you keep it moving. But we wanted to give artists an opportunity to really, build relationships with the DJs and meet them face to face instead of just being the guy in the booth. this magical creature that lives in the DJ booth that I'm trying to get to, and also get real, honest, legit feedback, and especially bad feedback. You know what I'm saying? And we took pleasure in giving bad feedback for sure. But one thing about, you know, the artist getting feedback from the DJ is the DJ giving the feedback to the artist. If you ever try to give an artist bad feedback at the club, now it's a thing where they feel like you're being disrespectful. You're embarrassing them. You're challenging them. You kind of emasculating the dude. And the strip club is the most masculine environment in the world. Like, if you got a bunch of dudes drinking, smoking, got some money in their pocket, and there's a bunch of girls around, like a guy on Monday night at Magic City is a extra guy. Like, he's every guy in there thinks he's like the alpha in the room. Right. So you in a room full of alphas. Right. And you tell an alpha dog, yo, you whack. And he feel like you said it too loud, or you said it in front of the wrong person that he didn't really want to hear it, and it might just be something as simple like, yo, man, like, it's cool, but it's not mixed right. But telling somebody that at 1 o'clock in the morning when he drunk and high, that could end bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we wasn't with that, so it's like, yo, let's create this kind of filter system and close the door, put the audience, just us and the artist. So if we did say it was bad, it wasn't nobody that was like, we didn't say it in front of other artists, in front of a crowd of people. It was just us and them. So, you know, and it worked out tremendously well. Still working. Still working.
So how do people go about doing, because you say y'all still doing that? How
well, they all still doing it. I stepped away. Right. I went by there tonight just to check on the guys. I was dropping off this, Kevin Gates has got a new energy drink called I Don't Get Tired. Right. I went to just take some to the guys, but they still do it. They do it over at Patchwork Studios every Monday from 6 to 8. Still goes on. You go onto the website, coalitiondjsatl.com, and then you just sign up for it and make an appointment. Like, it be booked out like a week or two, at least a couple weeks in advance a lot of times. Like, it's because they only do maybe 3 or 4 artists a week. Gotcha. And because they only got a window of like from 6 to 8. Gotcha. So you can't take everybody. But what it does is create a line, basically. You know what I'm saying? So you have artists like tonight. Epic Records brought 2 artists by tonight, and that happens a lot. Major labels come by all the time. It's not just indie startup guys. This is 2 Chainz still come. Future still comes. Like, Future is one of the biggest success stories that we had. But these guys still come when they get new records, or when they sign a new artist. They like, Future's like, hey man, I just signed this guy. What y'all think? Right. Or I just got this new record I'm thinking about putting out. What you think? Jeezy still comes to see the guys. This is a reoccurring thing that's going, hopefully will continue to thrive.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. You mentioned earlier about your homie, how he was telling y'all, he was giving y'all positions. Like, you do this, you do that. Right. How do you go about building a team these days though? Everybody want to be that boy. You know what I'm saying?
You know what it is? It's you build a team in 2 ways. One, you pray. That's how I just built my team. My team for the Bite Life that I got is a team that I prayed for, and I didn't know the individuals I was praying to get, but I knew I wanted people who could support me and not want to be me. And I ran into that a lot coming up, and even as I was working at Jeezy, working with Jeezy, working with the DJs. Like, a lot of times, I don't know if y'all ever watch Entourage. Yeah. Ari Gold, right? So Ari. Yeah. Ari had this line, and it always stuck with me. He say, if you hire a woman and you fire her, you create a housewife. Yeah. If you hire a man and you fire a man, you create a rival. Yeah. And that's really what the music business is. A lot of times, you end up with a lot of guys like, once they kind of get around you and get kind of cool and get comfortable, they're like, I can do what he do. And then you start to get a guy who was your right hand looking like, I need to get him out the way. And you like, damn, I gave you the job. Like, I hired you. Right. And it just starts to get funny. So you really gotta pray that you get good people around that just want to support the dream and be dope at what they do. And you got to find folks that don't do the same thing. You can't have 10 people that do marketing. You need a guy who do marketing. You need a person that do PR. You need somebody who just want to be admin. You need somebody who wants to DJ. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a team of people. And then it just becomes a series of possibly uncomfortable conversations. Because like you said, everybody wants to be the man. Right. Everybody can't be the man. And there has to be somebody in the room that says, yo, like, honestly, no disrespect, you my man, but you not the guy. And it may not, and how do I say this? The one who is the guy probably isn't the one that needs to have a conversation. Gotcha. It needs to be somebody else in the room that's like, listen, person number A is the man. Right. But this is person E talking. Right. Me being person E, person A is the man. My guy, you're person B. ain't no disrespect in being person B, but right now let's get person A going. You be the this, or you be the that.
Right.
And I'm actually working on a book right now. Funny you brought it up. I'm actually working on a book called Shining in the Shadows. And it's basically a book that I really want to give out to like kids in high school or kids in college and just tell them like, yo, here are 40 other jobs that you could do in the music business that have nothing to do with being the artist. Right. Because a lot of times you just don't know. And if you don't know, I mean, it's like, what do you do? Like, if you think the only way to make money in the music business is to be the artist, you're gonna try to be the artist. Right. But if you don't know that you can be the personal trainer, the chef, the road manager, the publicist, the DJ, the sound and lighting guy, the cameraman, the photographer, if you don't know that those jobs exist and there's a way to get into those things, you're just gonna do what you know. So somebody just really need to educate people. Like, hey man, like, there's money to be made where you get the same perks as the artist. Right. Because mind you, I'm the marketing guy, but I've been to every city Jeezy been to. I stayed in every hotel Jeezy stayed in. I've been to the same venues that he, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't I didn't write a word. I didn't do no ad libs. I didn't write no hooks. Right. But I've been everywhere that he went as a result of being a person on the team. And I mean, life is good. I can't complain, man. I think a lot of people would trade places with me in a heartbeat. You know, being honest.
So you mentioned the Bite Life, man, and that's what you're doing right now.
Absolutely.
And I remember seeing it maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you did.
And I know you were going around to different restaurants in the city, and I believe you did one with 2 Chainz. And
did 2 Chainz. I did Verse Simmons. I did Travis Porter. I did everybody.
I saw a couple of those. So I love to eat. I'm into food, man.
Me too.
So and I like to cook and all that. And so it was something about that show that kind of like it grabbed my attention because.
Dope.
For one, you were going to places that we didn't know of, number one.
Right.
Then number two, you were going to places with people that we know of.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I was like, okay.
And that was the play. I mean, the Bite Life, actually the site launched today, went live today, so I'm really excited about that, man. I think that deserves an applause. Y'all clapped for me earlier, man. Hey, clap for me. Clap for me. So sometimes you got to command your own applause, right? But no, like, I mean, a few years ago when I first started the site, it was called ATL Bite Life. And it was just me at a point in my life where I was getting really kind of frustrated with the music business. I've been doing it for a while and just starting to kind of see the music business take a turn. The people changing, the artists changing, the egos getting bigger, but the money shrinking. And I'm like, yo, like, what's up? So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try something else. And I sat around and I was like, yo, what else do I like to do though? I've been doing music so long, I don't really have another thing I like to do. And it was right in front of me. So the story goes like this: the end of 2010, my accountant comes to me and she says, I got this thing in the mail. If you ever had like a business credit card, they send you a thing in the mail that shows you where you spent your money. So they send you out like this pie chart. And so on the pie chart, it'll say you spent 22% of your money on gas and you spent 30% of the money on clothing, whatever the case might. My thing said about 50% got spent eating. And I was like, yo, it's right there in front of me. This is what I like to do. I eat my money. You know what I'm saying? The money that I make, I've never been the Louis Gucci guy. I've never been in the old school cars and fixing up stuff. I never was like the sneakerhead guy, even though all of a sudden I became a sneakerhead like 2 years ago. But like at the time, like I wasn't into none of that stuff, but I didn't mind dropping $100, $200 on a meal. I'll do that for lunch because I just was tired of eating burgers and fries. And I was like, yo, I'm going to do this. And honestly, it wasn't, when I first started I had no intentions of ever making it a business. It was just about like, this is something that just gives me a release from the music business. And so I started going out to eat, taking pictures and putting people up on different restaurants. And that became a cool thing in itself because I started off kind of on Facebook. And I'm just telling people like, yo, y'all got to try this, this Caribbean spot in Little 5 Points. It's called Stir It Up. And I got partners who grew up in Decatur with me like, what's that? And I'm telling them about it. And they're like, where's that? I'm like, Little 5 Points. They're like, where's that? I'm like, dog, like you grew up here like I did. Like, how do you not know? Like, you mean you never left? And I started like, y'all never left where we grew up at. You only kind of move around within maybe a 5-10 mile radius of the high school. So you don't know that there's a life outside of South DeKalb County. So when I start telling people about stuff in Little 5 Points, Alpharetta, Buckhead, they like, where is that at? I'm like, yo, y'all are tripping. But it's my job as a person who left the house to explain to y'all and kind of be like a translator or a tour guide, more or less. Like, yo, this is this is Buckhead. Like,
yeah,
like no lie. Like I had partners who never came downtown except to maybe go to like a Braves game or a Hawks game or something, or go to court. They don't come. They don't come downtown, especially if they're in the streets, because they like, I'm not finna drive and potentially get pulled over. Right. So that's a real concern for a street cat. Like, and you learn that just kind of being out and about. You say, oh, okay. Even with the strip club life, when you see cats that hang out at, let's say, Strokers or Pinups on the east side, or the Blue Flame on the west side, or those cats, a lot of times, if you hang out on the west side, you don't leave the west side.
Don't leave the west
because
side,
you don't want to get caught coming into the city or leaving. You want to be drinking, get pulled over, and all of a sudden you got dope in the car.
Yeah.
So you stay in your little neighborhood. And so my job was just, I just kind of took on the responsibility of being a tour guide to my partners. And then my cousin, Mark Diesel, my cousin Marcus, he came to me one day and he was like, yo, you should take some of your rap partners with you when you go. And I was like, I guess I could do that. I mean, like, I got friends in the music business. These weren't just guys I know. These are like people I kick it with all the time. Like I call 2 Chainz on the phone. Like I just text 2 Chainz today. I seen he was at this spot in Buckhead. I text him today. Like, yo, I just seen you at the spot. He's like, oh man, we had a conversation today. Rock City, Travis Porter, Verse Simmons, Jeezy. These guys are people that I'm like, I can get on the phone like right now. Future, these people I can call. So when I started taking them, that's when the whole game changed. Because now people who, my personal friends, liked when I was going out to eat. People who didn't know me liked to see me with 2 Chainz. That's when it was like, oh, okay, he's somebody.
He really doing stuff. It ain't what he talking about. Like, we can actually see it now.
Right. But to make a long story a little shorter, I never at that time considered making no money off of it. I don't know why. I just was kind of like, I just want to do it. And so this time around, fast forward to 2016, and today with the site going live, now the goal is to turn it into a real legit business, enterprise, company. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, I want to be the face of the food world. I want to be black owned, Atlanta based, and just make legendary moves. I want to hire a team, I want to have a big office with like a test kitchen and, like the whole nine. Like I want it to be a big deal and not just like, oh, that's Nick's little website. That's Nick's little blog. It's like, no, this ain't that. Like I'm not doing no more Nick's little thing. Like, and I don't even want to be treated like that. I want you to handle my stuff like, oh yeah, I seen your little site. Like I'm like, hold on, partner. Like little site. I don't got no little site. What site you seen? What you was on Twitter? I don't know nothing about that. So it's something that I take personal now, and I'm like, yo, like this is a thing for me to make the best product that I can and use the website as an extension of whatever everything else that I'm going to do. Dinner parties, large food festivals, TV shows, podcast, all of that. Like those are things that I really legitimately want to do and use it, and it just be an evolution of the culture. Because the one thing I do want to say before I end my long ass answer is I want to show people that the hip hop culture can evolve and grow and mature. Like it's more to us than just rapping and popping bottles and buying Jordans. Like I asked a question on Twitter last week, like, yo, where do old like mid-level A&Rs go? Like when the music stops, like what do they do? And people was like, go get a job. But it's like, go get a job doing what? Because if you've been in the music business any amount of time, your resume looks crazy. Mine does, because if I made a resume today, my resume would say Corporate Thugs Entertainment for like 8 or 9 years. You know what I'm saying? Before that, Disturbing the Peace, and like it looked crazy. Like, and no corporate job would look at that resume and be like, oh well, you worked it with Jeezy, so you can come handle this stuff at AT&T. They be like, no, we gonna start you entry level. And so
it worked its way up.
Right. So it's like I don't want to be entry level. Like I put in all this work, but my work doesn't translate nowhere else. So it's like you got to kind of create things, and this is my creation.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Man, we got to get out of here.
I know, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm passionate about what I got going on, man. So I love to talk to y'all.
You're good, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
I will.
Man. Before you get out of here, though, tell the people like how can they connect with you, the Bite Life. If they want to contact you, I know, are you still doing marketing too? As well?
Absolutely,
okay,
absolutely, doing all that. But I'm switching up the game a little bit. So if you want to contact me, you can reach me pretty much everywhere at Nick Love ATL, NICKLOVE ATL. That's my real name, by the way. That's on my license, Nicholas Love, actually. But Nick Love ATL.
An R&B name for real.
But Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything is Nick Love ATL. And if you want to get at the Bite Life, everything is the Bite Life. THEBITELIFE. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the whole nine. And I'm very accessible. And really what I'm trying to do is just focus as far as, like you asked about marketing. Mm-hmm. I just want to do stuff that's kind of like food and beverage related. Like I can point you in the right direction on the music because I still know that like the back of my hand. That's easy. But I really, which is another reason why I took on Kevin Gates. And I actually brought y'all a case, so, y'all can more than welcome to indulge. But I really want to start taking on like the liquor companies and beverage companies, energy drinks. When like Tip got a new restaurant in town, mm-hmm. like when these guys open up new restaurant, I want them to call me for that. You'd call me for the music, so why not call me for your other thing? Else, yeah. So that's the game plan, man. So www.thebitelife.com is live today. Follow us online and holler at me. Let's eat.
Oh. That's it, man. That's it, man. That's it. We got to get a meal, man. We're gonna
we got to do that.
Got to do it, man. All right, cool, man. Well, look, it's a good Hennessy show, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got to do a close, man. It's 9:00, man. It's 9:00. We got to do a close, Hennessy.
All right. We're going to do it right now.
No, we'll do it when we come back.
All right, cool.
We'll be right back. Good Hennessy show.
Word.
Jeez, I know you ain't gonna let this shit go down like this, nigga. I'm hearing these niggas in the club, niggas sounding like you, nigga. Biting your motherfucking ad-lib, biting your motherfucking style, nigga. What the fuck going on, nigga? You better check these motherfucking niggas, man. Real fuck with real, nigga. And these niggas ain't real out here on these motherfucking streets, nigga. Especially these fuck-ass industry niggas, man. Nigga, we been doing this shit since 95,
Last time I checked, I was the man on these streets. They call me Residue, I leap blow on these beats. Got diarrhea flow, now I shit on niggas. Even when I'm constipated, I still shit on niggas. Let's get it. Got some super friends in the Legion of Doom. They blowing purple shit, they keep me high like the moon. I'm an affiliate, I know it mean I'm a hater like you. Fuck my wrist knee. Niggas sneak dissing, and that ain't how we play. No, fuck with mine, get your drama like the DJ. Now tell me I ain't real. This AR that I'm holding got a gangster grill. Went from old school Chevys to Beamer coupes. Got 100 niggas with me and everybody gon' shoot. Try me, nigga, that's your first mistake. Eat your little ass up like a Chanterelles plate. The whole pie like dominoes. Yes indeed. Try to stack my bacon up, I need extra cheese. You can try, dog, but it ain't easy. Mix the flake with the soda, got young G's. You still wanna talk blow, man? Soft white like Alaska, call me snowman. By the pound, by the fifth. Re-up on the first and again on the fifth. Yeah, we trap or die, nigga. We trap or die, niggas. Hoes love a nigga, cause they know that we the truth. Not the Chevy, same color, Tropicana orange juice. Yeah, we trap or die, nigga. We trap or die, nigga. Post on the block, rain, sleet, snow, sunny. Slow motion, don't nothing move but the money. Trap all day, with no lunch breaks. It's dinner time, but a gangster cooking pancakes. Rubber bands when we wrap them stacks. Time to ship it out of town, you know Saran's the rap. Think ahead in case them K9s get loose. Inner tubes like the ties on my mongoose. By the pound, by the fifth. Re-up on the first and again on the field. Yeah, we trap or die, nigga. We trap or die, niggas. Hoes love a nigga, cause they know that we the truth. Got the Chevy, same color, Tropicana orange juice. Yeah, we trap or die, nigga. We trap or die, nigga.
Yeah, I'm back up in the hood again, where it's all good again. Riding candy slab, gripping on the wood again. Out of line niggas, get back in place where you should have been. In case you don't understand, I'ma make it understood again. King of the underground, my gangster will never fail. You about to make me go postal for fucking with my mail. Yeah, you got the connect, but you ain't got the clientele. You them folks and niggas know it. This shit ain't hard to tell. Rat bitch bitch. Recognize that your cheese ain't finna sell. Think I'm finna break some bread with the feds, you dumb as hell. I've been around the block before, sold it all for rock the blow, and I don't fuck around. When them feds in town, I got to go. Respect my mind, cause I'm a trill old schooler. Summertime get too hot, I wait for winter when it's cooler. UGK for life, free to pimp, you know the deal. If PAT is trap or dying, we ain't down for getting killed.